This national park is one of my personal favorites. Hi, I'm Joe Himmeley, and today I'm at the Kenilworth Aquatic Gardens in Washington, D.C. Located on the ancestral land of the Nacotchtank and Piscataway Conoy people, the history of the Kenilworth Aquatic Gardens began in 1879 when Walter Shaw, a disabled Civil War veteran, and his wife, Luciana, purchased 33 acres of land from her parents for $2,500. The couple had 3 children, Charlie, Lucy Helen, who went by Helen, and Robert, who grew up playing and exploring the land. In 1888, Walter used an old ice pond on his land to plant a dozen American water lilies from his home state of Maine. The lilies thrived, so Walter set about digging more ponds. This was quite difficult considering he was working alone, using only a shovel, and had lost the lower part of his right arm during the Civil War. By the next year, Walter's lilies were growing so well that he began selling them commercially. He expanded to include lotuses and engineered an irrigation and drainage system that brought in fresh water from the nearby Anacostia River. By 1902, he was making enough money from selling the flowers that he was able to quit his job working as a clerk for the U.S. Treasury Department. He was making $1,200 per acre of land, which would be about $40,000 today. In 1912, Walter transferred the business to his daughter Helen, who had grown up in the gardens and inherited her father's passion for horticulture. And under Helen's leadership, the business continued to blossom. To help transport flowers, Walter purchased a truck and tasked Helen with driving it to make deliveries. This made Helen the first woman in Washington, D.C. to obtain a commercial driver's license. Walter remained active in the business until his passing in 1921. 2 steam-powered greenhouses were built to keep the tropical plants alive throughout the winter. The gardens were expanded again in the 1930s and now house 42 ponds and 500,000 plants, including 55 types of water lilies. To say that the gardens were a popular spot would be an understatement. It's estimated that during the summer, the gardens would see around 6,000 visitors a day. Some notable visitors included President Woodrow Wilson and First Lady Edith Wilson, and President Calvin Coolidge and First Lady Grace Coolidge. In the late 1920s, the government had made it clear that the land the gardens occupied was wanted for an expansion of Anacostia Park. Helen and her brother Charles filed a lawsuit which delayed the government's efforts. In 1933, the government stated that the gardens must be filled in to help fight the spread of malaria-carrying mosquitoes. Again, Helen fought, and this time she was partially victorious. Although she did end up selling the gardens in 1938, the government agreed not to fill in the ponds. In 1939, the gardens were placed under the stewardship of the National Park Service and commercial operations ceased. Helen leased her house back to the government and lived on the property until her passing in 1957 at the age of 82. Today, the Kenilworth Aquatic Gardens are as alive as ever. It's home to 3 distinct habitats, which are the ponds, the tidal marsh, and the Anacostia River. The gardens are also a great location for bird watchers. Due to its location along the Atlantic Flyway, over 240 species of birds have been spotted here. The 2024 Lotus and Water Lily Festival is going on from July 19th to July 21st. In the summer, early risers can visit the park as early as 8 a.m. Facilities such as the visitor center and restrooms open at 9 a.m. and they all close at 4 p.m. I hope you enjoyed this tour of the Kenilworth Aquatic Gardens. Please like and subscribe so you don't miss out on another tour of a great place like this.